Allora, quello che a me piacerebbe è proprio cercare di capire, dal momento che qui siamo all'interno di una struttura dove abbiamo trasferito sia la pittura ma anche le tecnologie che vanno verso un qualcosa di, voglio dire, cambiamento anche dal punto di vista dei materiali eccetera, come lui che ha vissuto proprio fin dall'inizio il computer grafica e soprattutto con il rapporto con la musica, come lui prevede che si definisca uno scenario soprattutto per i ragazzi che stanno studiando adesso. Questo credo sia la cosa più importante che dice.
Thank you. I started my life as a painter. I studied painting, in fact fine art it was called, and art history. And like most English people who study painting, fine art and art history, I joined a band. This is what English art schools really exist for. They really exist to create pop musicians. But that's a secret that most of the people who work in the art schools don't know. But anyway, I left art school and joined a band, formed a band. And I didn't leave, though, the experience of painting, which was probably always my biggest inspiration. I was more interested in painting, I suppose, than music. So gradually I started making a kind of music that was more and more like painting. I made a very still kind of music, which I imagined you would experience in the way you experience painting, as something that sits in a room and stays in the same place. Then, in the late 70s, I started experimenting with video and light, and I used that technology to make a very still kind of video. A kind of video that was really more like music than like pictures. So, in fact, I have a chance now to say thank you to the lady in the front row, Gabriella Cardazza, who gave me my first serious exhibition of that work here in Venice. So I have a long history with Venice, and I had several shows here of that work. But what I ended up doing, in answer to your question, was working in some new kind of medium which is halfway between music and picture making, if you like. And I continue to do that to this day. Now, my experience of these new hybrid areas is that it's very difficult to give them a name. I teach sometimes in London at the Royal College of Art, which is a very big art school. And the college used to have 7 departments: painting, sculpture, art history, I can't remember them all, industrial design. And there was one little department called the Department of Illustration. When computers appeared, they went into the Department of Illustration. But of course, computers were where a lot of people wanted to be. So suddenly the Department of Illustration started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it then was called the Department of Communication. And actually it now has hundreds and hundreds of students. It's by far the biggest department in the Royal College. And the reason it's so big is because anyone who's doing anything that doesn't fall into the category of painting or sculpture or art history or industrial design ends up in this department called communication. So it keeps growing. So communication is really just a word to cover everything else. And everything else is what I teach now. And everything else is what I do, really. So one of the things you have to be careful about when you're trying to set up a course is not to make boundaries that are too strict, because if you do, somebody else will just set up another course and they'll call it something like the Department of Communication, and you will lose all your best students. They'll all go into that one. If anyone here would like to ask any questions, by the way, you can ask in Italian, because there's a lady who's going to tell me what you have said.
Vado avanti io?
Sì.
Allora,